Okay, dear learner, today we are going to begin a very important topic in the research methodology. That is the concept of research design. This is the first section of this. It means the research design, simply a type of plan. That plan tell us how to conduct the research. Important things, how to conduct the research. Most important thing is how to conduct the research in a planned, systematic and scientific way, because we know very well and about of that research is a planned, scientific, systematic process to solve the problems. So if we go for the proper planning, systematic way, scientific way, that means important thing just behind of it is the concept of research design. So whenever you start any kind of work in your life, day-to-day life, your workplace, you plan it first, important thing, or you just start randomly. There are two important options. You just start randomly and then you do plan it first. Important thing, we plan of it first and then we go. In the same way, in the research also, we need a proper planning, we need a proper structure, and that plan is called the research design. The next important thing, so just like we discussed in a today lecture, we will conduct or we will understand the basic concept of the research design. So what kind of basic science behind the research design, so what is means, why it is important, and how it's guide the entire research process, because the concept of research is play very important role to plan and to manage the systematic way, to manage the scientific way, the all process of research. So I think of research design just like a blueprint of the building. Before, just like we giving an example of builder, the build a building. Before the building or before the construction of building, engineer prepare a specific of design. The same thing will similar with the research. So before the conducting of any kind of the research is an important thing. The researcher prepare a specified scientific, planned and proper design to conduct the research. Next important thing is the research design. The research design is means in the research design, an important thing is the research paradigm. How the research paradigm effect of in the research design and planning of blueprint of research. The research paradigm exactly what is? It is a framework of your belief. Important things, the framework of belief of the researcher, and what kind of the values of our assumption that give the guide how we conduct the research. Important thing, the research paradigm simple a framework of belief, value and assumption that guide how we conduct the research. Important thing, just like an individuals, so we have different kind of belief, we have different kind of assumption, we have different kind of values. All these things prepares to me to and put me toward the conduct of any kind of the research. In other words, it just like a lens through which a researcher look at the world. Important thing being just like a researcher, how the researcher look at the world, look the situation, and how the look the process of research. So now things about of this and important things. Two people can look at the same situation. We're giving a very simple example. There's two people can look at the same situation, but important thing is they understand it different way. Same situation, two different pupils, and both are understanding different way. This is because of his paradigms, because their thinking, because their belief, because of their perspective are different. Perspectives are different. That is the important. This is the all these things come into the research paradigms. How the researcher thinks, how the researcher act, how researcher believe, how researcher see the future. Important things. So because their thinking, belief, prospects are different, the important thing is the both people or different people thinks differently, but it come in this same situation. So similarly, we applied a same thing in the research. The different researcher may study same problem in a different way, because the problem is same and the research process is planned, systematic, scientific are same, but both are go for the different way. Why? Because the research paradigms. This happened because they follow the different research paradigm. So research paradigms play a very important role in the research. Next important thing with this, the research paradigm is a framework of belief, values, assumption that guide how the research is conducted. Important thing, what does a research paradigm decide? That is the important, this is the simple questions mark. The research paradigm help us to answer three important questions. Important thing question is, what is reality? Is reality fixed and measurable, or it based on individual experience? So this is the first important questions. Second, how do we gain the knowledge? The important thing is the what is reality? How an individual and researchers to think or see the reality. That is, if the reality is fixed or measurable, it is important thing the based on individual experiences. Next important aspect is, how do we gain the knowledge? What kind of the process and how? That is the question is, how do we gain the knowledge? Through the numbers of data may be important thing, or through observation, that or through the experience. So who is decided by the researcher and on the basis of his research paradigm. Which method should we use generally? Because we use the qualitative research, quantitative research, different tools generally used in the field of research to collect the information. So what you select for your research? So should we use experiment? Important thing. Should we use of statistics? Should we use or interview and discussion? That is the important question. So all these questions come into the research paradigm. It is means the researcher paradigm help us to answer all these three important questions before this starting any kind of research. In easy words, my dear learner, I tell you, just like it tell the researcher, simple research paradigm, what to study, important thing in easy words, how to study and what method to use and how to interpret the result. So this is the framework. On the basis of the research paradigms, these research paradigms give to you answer. It tell the researcher what to do, how to study it, what method generally used to collect the information, and how you interpret the result. Important thing is, just like we're giving a simple example of positivism, use just like scientific method, experiment and numerical data. Next important thing, interpretivism, just like to focus on the human experience and meaningful and opinion. And next example of pragmatism, to use both qualitative and quantitative method according to the need of the study. All three, for example, three sections, just positivism, interpretivism, pragmatism, which you want to select. It's depend on the researcher paradigm. Next important things, how we can giving is define it, how we can understand about the research paradigms. And so the concept of paradigm in scientific research was introduced by first, just like Thomas Kuhn in 1962. He explained that science does not grow randomly. Important thing, science grow, but not randomly. It's follow a certain pattern or system of thinking. This is very important concept. Science does not grow randomly. It's grow with the certain pattern or system. Thomas Kuhn, according to that, a paradigm is a set of shared beliefs, shared values, practices that guide how scientists conduct their research. So this is means research is conducted by the scientist. How scientists conduct the research is based on their belief, their values, their practices, and the important thing is all these things come from the research paradigm. That is means paradigm. The important thing is, let's understand this in a simple way. For example, in a scientific community, researchers usually agree on what kind of the problems are important, how to study of those problems, which method are acceptable. This common agreement is called paradigm. That is means the paradigms play very important role how to conduct research. It is means the paradigm simple A paradigm is a set of shared beliefs and practices that guide the scientific inquiry. Next important thing, the component of research paradigms, because we have the different component of research paradigms, it means four important component. Number one, number two, epistemology, methodology, and method. The first is ontology. As you can see in this slide, the research paradigm consists of four main simple elements. Just first is ontology, that means nature of reality. Reality is important things, but the nature of reality. The first is ontology, means the ontology refer to the study of reality, what actually exists. Now the important thing, the ontology answer the basic question, what is reality? It is reality fixed, and the same for everyone. That is important question. Ontology answers about the what is reality, but reality is fixed and reality is same for everyone. This is the important questions. Or does it change based on individual experience? This is two important concept. One important thing, the reality fixed or same for everyone. Second thing is, or does it change? Reality is change on the basis of individual experience. So ontology is about to understanding what is reality. Important thing is the what reality is and how we see in it in the research. The ontology play very important role related to the nature of reality to understand what is reality is, especially in the research, and how we see in the research is a reality. This is the important process. Next is the epistemology, the nature of knowledge. Important thing is nature of knowledge means how do we gain the knowledge, because we collect the information with find out knowledge, add the knowledge with the help of the research. So do we gain the knowledge through experiment and numbers or observation or experience? The next important thing is the epistemology means refer to the study of nature of knowledge, focusing on how we know what we know. Important thing is how we know what we know. That is the process. How we know, that is the what kind of the process we generally use to know. Important thing is what we know. It explains the sources and the method of gaining the knowledge, whether through the measurement and observation, which means the qualitative and quantitative aspect. Especially in the research, epistemology means is guide the selection of appropriate method for collecting and interpretation of data, ensuring that knowledge obtaining is valid and meaningful way. Third important aspect of the component of research paradigms is the methodology, the process of research. That is means method of research is step by step we follow the some process to complete of research from beginning to the end. That is means how will we conduct the research, it including the overall plan or strategy, just like we go for the experimental research, survey type of research, case study. We giving some example, just like if you want to study fitness level, will you use a survey, experiment or observation? So methodology is the overall approach or plan of research. So everything is in your methodologies, it is in your plan, in your overall approach. So this is the play very important role in the research. Next important thing is the methods. Method generally we use related to the tools. It is means technique for data collection of analysis. What kind of tools, what kind of technique generally researcher use to collect the information, collect the data and analysis of data. So what tool will we use to collect and analyze of data? That is the important questions mark. So these include just like questionnaire, interview, test of measurement, statistical analysis, experiment. On through all these things we can collect the data. Just like we're giving a very simple example, using a stopwatch to measure the running speed or questionnaire to collect the opinion. Two both different data or different method generally used. So method are the practical tool used in the research. Just we are giving the a brief of all four component. First important thing, the ontology means focus on what is reality, and can reality is fixed or reality can change with the over time of or with the experience. It is means epistemology means how do we know. It is an important things. This is the we go for the research to find out the solution, and for to know the important thing, the epistemology means how do we know, and then methodology help to you how do we study to know. That is an important things, and method important thing. So what tool generally use or tool used to do we use in the your research and important things. Here we discuss the major research paradigms. In our research is the major research paradigms. Here we discuss the first, positivisms. Positivism is related to the quantitative objective measurement. There are four major research paradigms. That is means let us understand each one by one in a simple and practical way. We related to the field of physical education and sports sciences. Positivism is a research philosophy that believe the knowledge should be based on observable fact and measurable data. This is means important thing is positivism is means related to knowledge. Knowledge should be based on observable fact or measurable data. If your observable you should observable, that is your knowledge, or measurable of data, that is means the knowledge, then it means knowledge should be based on these two parameters. If focusing on the using of scientific method, experiment and statistics to understand the reality. So in positivism, researchers rely on objective evidence rather than the personal opinion and feeling. In simple words, positivism means gaining the knowledge through observation, measurement and scientific method. So three important things how you can gain the knowledge. So you can knowledge with the observation, you should observe the things, you gain the knowledge. You should measure something, you gain the knowledge, and you use scientific method and find the or gaining the knowledge. That is means the positivism, this is the paradigm focus on, we are talking about the positivism. This means it's focus on the quantitative data and objective measurements. So simple here, the researcher believe that the reality is fixed. It can be measured using the numbers. That is the very important aspects of positivism is reality is fixed. It can be measured using the number. Just like we giving the simple example, if we measure an athlete speed, strength, endurance using the test and recording data in the form of number, we are following the positivism approach. So this paradigm is mainly used in the experimental or statistical research. We just convert the reality into the form of numbers. Next is post-positivism. Simple, it is be scientific but recognize that has some limitation. Just like post-positivism is a research philosophy that accepts that the reality can be studied scientifically, but it may not be understood perfectly or completely. It uses observation and measurement, but also recognize that the human limitation, biasness and context can affect of result. So this important thing, positivism is it's fixed, it come into the numbers. That is means this is the approach. In a simple words, post positivism means we try to study reality just like the reality scientifically, but we can accept that the our knowledge may not be 100% exact. Important thing is we collect the reality or scientifically, it means we collect the information, but we accept that the our knowledge may not be 100% correct. It may not be correct. So this is the similar to the positivism, but with the small differences. It is still scientific, but it accepts that the complete accuracy is not always possible. There may be some error on the limitation. This is the post-positivism as an approach. Next is constructivism. That is means understanding the human experience. This is play a very important role in the paradigm of research. Here, researchers believe reality is not the same for everyone. In this context, constructivism means the reality is not same for everyone. The subject, you can change the subject and the reality will be changed. Everyone has think, see and experience differently. That means reality is not same for everyone. It's depend on individual experiences. Just like we giving a simple example, studying how athletes feel about the pressure, motivation and competition using the, just like we go for the type of interview. So this paradigm use qualitative method like interview and observation. So constructivism says you that reality is not fixed, it may be changed and it's depend on the individual experience. In that case, how you can collect the data on the basis of the interview and observation. And fifth is pragmatism. That is the research paradigm, that is major research paradigm. Pragmatism is a research paradigm that focus on the practical solution of the problem. Pragmatism is based on practical solution and use method that best answer the research problem. That is important things. We select the appropriate best method to solve the practical solution of the problem, just like whether the quantitative and quantitative both, it is not the any type of foundation. Important thing is this is a practical approach. Pragmatism means it focus on what work best. That is the important things. In the researcher generally use the quantitative and qualitative data. It means you collect the data in number form and collect the data or no numerical data. That is means we giving this simple example. The researcher studies the performing using fitness test. That is the quantitative, and also taking the interview of athlete of qualitative. So this is called mixed method approach. So generally the pragmatism is a type of mixed method type of approach. Here we conclude the major research paradigms. For the positivism is everything in form the reality in the form of number and measurement. Positivism is scientific but with some limitation. Scientific with some limitation. And interpretivism is understanding of experience. It means the reality may be changed on the basis of experience. Pragmatism means that is the mixed method approach. Use whatever work is best. Next important thing is we discuss here the relationship between the paradigm and research design. Two important things. It is very important to understand, my dear learner, the research paradigm, and second is research design. Two both different things, but it is difficult to understand. So here we will discuss about of that. This is a very important because many students confused in between two words. Just like the research paradigm, simple is your way of thinking. Research paradigm is this is your thinking, and research design means your plan of action. So this is simple two common differences. So research paradigm is your way of thinking. Your way of thinking, how you think, how you assume the reality. But the research design is your plan of action to process or complete of your research. So paradigm come first, and based on that we decide the research design. The first important thing is your research paradigm. It is means your way of thinking come first. On the basis of your thinking, of your assessment, you create or you prepare of your research design. So research paradigm influence four major things in research, just like in all aspects. Next important thing, here we discuss about what is the research design. So research design is simply, the research design is a plan. We discuss about the plan, blueprint of research, of a study. They guide the collection of data, measurement, analysis of data to answer the research question effectively. The important thing in the research method is especially it ensures that the research problem is addressed systematically and scientifically. Next important thing is we're giving this simple definition of research design. To research design, simple as structure framework generally we use to conduct the research study in a logical and organized manner. Here is a simple definition of research design. Simple is a structure framework. First important thing. Next thing is this is the blueprint. Important thing is the blueprint and framework guide to process how to collect your data, how to analyze your data, how to interpret your data, and ensure the research problem is addressed systematically, because the research is a systematic, scientific and planned process. All these things come into this. The research paradigm is, research design is the blueprint framework to collection, analyzing, interpretation of data and ensure the research problem is addressed systematically. Next important thing is the research design is based on the plan that is called the blueprint. It is the oral plan, the first the sequence way. Next important thing, the structure of the study. It defined what data to collect, how to collect, you collect from, when and how. Important things. Next important things in your research design, guide the researcher. So research design always guide to researcher step by step. It's act like a roadmap, helping the researcher move step by step. Okay, first step you complete, so what is your next step, and next step you complete, and then what is your next step. So everything come in the sequence way. So the research design also help. Controlled variable. Important thing is it help to controlling the factor that result are accurate and reliable. The research plays a very important role. Important thing is to solve the solution problem. The important is your result should be variable and accurate and reliable on the basis of the controlling the factor. The research design help to the researcher to control the different kind of the variable. Next important thing, to ensure the valid results. So good research is depend on the different kind of the factor, but the overall important thing is the ensure the validation of result. So a good research design increase the accuracy and credibility of finding of your research. Next important thing is in the research design is save time and cost. If you go for the proper planning and if you go for the in a systematic way, the important thing is you should save your time and cost, and it means to avoid the confusion, the saving the time and efforts and resources. So this the research design help to the researcher in a different way. And now we discuss important thing is the importance of research design, especially in the field of research methodology and in relation to the physical education and sports sciences. First important thing, to ensure the research is structured and systematic. The research design is because the research is the planned systematic process, and research design ensure all these things, and research is structured and systematic. Next thing is the reduce biasness and error in the data collection and analysis. Because we go for the different places, we use a different tools. The research designs help you to select the appropriate tool for the data collection, and all these processes help to the researcher to reduce the biasness and error in the different data collection. Next important thing is the importance of research design in helping in efficiency and efficiently allocation time and resources, because we have the limited time and we devoted the specific time for the specific research. And in the research design we giving we plan just like a plan and proper timing, so we ensure an allocation appropriate time for the appropriate research and complete the research in within a times. Next important thing, to provide a clear plan to address the research objective. So this is play very important role to provide a clear plan that address the research objective. So this is play very important role. Next important thing, what kind of the element in the research design. The first important thing in the research design, the purpose, the objective or goal. It is means the highest destination of your purpose. So research means having some goal. Next thing is a research question. The important thing is the research question. To clearly define the questions, the study aim to answer the which type of, importantly the questions, and important thing is that through the study, it, the study aims to the answer. Important thing. Next is the variable. The which type of variables you select in your study, independent, dependent, control, and everything is come in your research design. Next is the sampling, the process of selecting the representative group from the population, because we have different type of sampling techniques. Generally we use the appropriate technique for the appropriate of purpose. According to this, your research design, in your research design, the sampling play a very important role. This is help to select the appropriate sampling technique. Next important thing is the how to collect the data collection method. In your research design, reported technique used to the gathering of data, how you collect the data, which method generally use, which type of tool generally use in the research, everything come into your plan. And after that, data analysis. On the basis of your outcome, on the basis of your data nature, we will select the appropriate statistical tool to analyze the data and to find out the appropriate result. Research design having the different phases. So how we can conduct the research design? This means this is a blueprint. The first of research design is plan. That is called blueprint of research. First research design is a plan, blueprint, just like an engineer prepare a map before the construction of any kind of the building. The researcher prepare a design before the starting of the studies, tell us what to do and how to do and how to complete of our research. Next important thing, the conceptual structure of a study, because we have some philosophy or how it is or conceptual. So what is the conceptual structure of the study? The second important study is to provide conceptual structure or plan. This means is give your clear idea about what is your problem, what is your variable, what is your direction of research. Next important thing, the arrangement of condition. This means how the study will be conducted, what condition will be controlled or manipulated, your control variable, manipulated variables, how you can conduct the experiment and recording the data. So this means is an experiment. We control the variable like temperature, time, training load, and all these things. So it means first your arrangement of condition is very important role. After that, we go for the data collection process, means the data collection and data analysis. So this step, the research design clearly defined how data will be collected, how it will be analyzed. Next is the relevance and to the research objective. A good research design always ensure that all activities are linked to the research important thing. The next important thing in the research design, the economy in procedure. So any type of the procedure generally we use, the important thing is the economy. All also focus on the economy. That means saving the time, reducing the cost, avoid the unnecessary efforts. A good design always efficient and practical. Last, this is the framework for investigation. So finally, research design act as a framework for investigation. It's give the complete structure within which the entire research is conducted. The first important thing, the research design means important. First, you have the proper plan, plus your structure of your study, plus process of your study, and then tool. So research design is a backbone of research. It's provide the clear plan, organize the study, and ensure the research is systematic and efficient, meaningful way. Here is the major research design decision. First important thing, to what is your problem, what is your purpose of your study, research where you conduct or locate your research. Third is what type of data you collect, data required. Important, the research must decide whether the data need numerical or non-numerical and qualitative, quantitative. Next important thing is source of data. Source of data means data can be collected directly from the participants, primary source, or obtained from the book, report and record. This is the secondly. So which source of data you include of your research design. Next is time period of your study. The study may be cross-sectional, one-time data collection, longitudinal or period of long time, depend on the research objective. On the basis of research objective, you decide the time period of your study. Next is the sample design. This is means who will be included in this study. The sample design. It involves selecting the number of participants and their characteristics such as age, gender, level of performance. Next is data collection technique. So which type of technique we use for the data collection? On the basis of your outcome, we will select, we explain how the data will be gathered. This means commonly technique generally we use of experiment, questionnaire, interview, observation. All these things is generally used for the data collection. So we decide what method we will use in your research plan. Next is data analysis. So data analysis means this is concerned to the analysis of method which determine how the collected data will be interpreted. This may involve the statistical technique like mean, t-test, ANOVA, qualitative analysis, descriptive analysis, for the descriptive data. So these things means which type of statistical technique we will use in our plan. Last is means the final decision is the reporting of writing style, which explain how the research finding will be presented in your research, in your report. The results are usually organized using the table, graph, chart, clear written explanation to ensure proper communication to finding. So, my dear learner, each of these decisions play the crucial role in making the research systematic, organized and meaningful. And need for the research design. So research design generally clear research direction. You need for the research design. Why? Because the clear research direction, systematic planning of the study, efficient data collection. Important thing is to ensure the data is collected properly and accurately. Proper resources utilization, because we have the resources, it should be utilized properly. And control of variable, because it's help in the controlling the unwanted factor that may be the effect of the result. We should control or increase the validity of your result. Reduction of research error, it means we reduce the research error, it's minimize the mistake, increase the accuracy in your research, improve reliability and validity, guide the data analysis, ensure scientific approach, achieve research objective efficiently. It means it's help in the research or it's help in reaching the research goal in a proper and effective manner. In a simple word, the research design is essential because it's make the research organized, accurate and goal oriented. Next important thing, what kind of feature of good research design? Good research design should be flexible. If we can change on as required during the study, appropriateness to the research problem, efficiency in data collection. It means minimization of biasness. We already discussed in the biasness and minimization, and minimize the experimental error, maximize the information output, suitable for the nature of the problem, feasibility on the basis of time, money, skill and proper method used for the data collection and analysis. So this is the feature of good research design. The importance of the concept relating to the research design, first important concept is we focus dependent variables, that is means output variables, and dependent variables change on the basis of independent variable. We can manipulate independent variable, the effect of the dependent variables. Control variables, so we decide which variables is control variables and it's properly managed to reduce the error. And confounding relationship, research hypothesis, experimental hypothesis testing research, non-experimental hypothesis testing in spatial research, your treatment, your experiment. Generally we used an important concept in research. And ninth and last is experiment. Generally we use for your research what type of experiment you design and you use in your research design. few important concepts which is related to the research design. Simply the dependent variable, that is also called output variable. It measure the effect influenced by the independent variable. Next is dependent variables, means this is the dependent variables is causes, that is the manipulated variable, researcher in the hand of the researcher control. Next is control. The important thing is regulation of variables, eliminating of external influence. Confounded relationship in fourth. In confounded relationship means mixed variable effect, just like hidden or distort true relationship. Fifth is the research hypothesis. Important thing with the research hypothesis means the hypothesis should be testable. That is means the prediction relationship related to the relationship between the variables. The hypothesis means the prediction on the basis of limited evidence. This is basis of scientific testings. Next important concept related to the research design is the non-experimental hypothesis testing, just like means no variable manipulation, observation or survey method. Important concept of related to the research design is next is treatment. Treatment means your experiment and apply to the experimental group or independent variable level. So this is the which kind of treatment, which kind of procedure or experiment you use in your study, and this is the important factor in the research design. Next important thing is experiment. Treatment, and after that we go for the experiment. Experiment means control scientific investigation. It means we control our scientific investigation, manipulation of variable, and then we find out the effect of the output variable, and after that we measure of all these effects. At the end, we will conclude of this lecture here, my dear learner. All these concepts which is related to the research design, such as the dependent and independent variables, control variables, hypothesis, experiment, are the foundation of a strong research design, because this is the blueprint of your research. They help us to understand how to plan or a study, how to test or relationship, how to draw the meaningful conclusion of our research. When these concepts are used properly, research become more systematic, accurate and scientific. So thank you very much once again.